Next item, please.
Action items. Are there any agenda items on this agenda which board members or the superintendent wish to discuss and vote on separately? If there are, we will exclude these from the motion below.
Any board member have any items they want to exclude? I don't see any.
All right, then move that action items numbered 1 through 18 be approved as recommended in this agenda.
I have 17 of them.
17.
There is a
There's a
supplement.
Oh.
Supplement.
Got it.
So moved. Second. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of this motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it, unanimous, 4-0 vote. Next item, please.
Can we give an applause for that because we didn't?
Why?
The
Why do we get
contract.
an applause?
That was the teachers.
Is that what you've been waiting for?
They didn't trust us until it was said and done. Are you ready?
No, not yet.
Yeah, after you're going to read
The summary.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, after the summary, we would like to introduce
Yeah.
the person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, summary of agenda action items. Number 1, approval of warrants. Number 2, approval of contract to Frontline Technologies. Number 3, approval of the purchase of Ready Common Core math program materials. Number 4, approval of the purchase of Eureka math program materials. 5, approval of an increase to Miracle Midwest and Safe Play. 6, approval of the purchase of Promethean board projectors and equipment. 7 through 9, approval of non-instructional and instructional personnel items for P12. 10, approval of financial statement. 11, approval of Director of Special Education. 12, approval of 2018-2019 Wayne Risa General Fund operating budget. 13, approval of cooperative agreement with Wayne Westland Schools. 14, approval of banking services contract. 15, approval of resolution for school of choice. 16, approval of policy updates per board reports 17 through 119. 17, approval of donations. And 18, last but not least, ratification of the DFT contract.
Yay! Nice job.
Give an applause to our new director, Mr. Arceli.
Well, we got an order to all of this.
We'll just tell her. We let her sleep.
Introduce now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'd like to ask our new special ed director to come up to the podium, please.
Hey.
Mr. Arceli.
He's been patiently waiting.
Patiently waiting, yes. An understatement, no. President Mead, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Maleko, thank you for this great opportunity. I am both humbled and excited to be the Special Education Director of Dearborn. I am a proud product of Dearborn Public Schools and a Fordson High graduate of the class of 2000. I am excited that I get to continue to be a part of the great team in Dearborn and to lead the team with a students first vision. As my journey begins as Director of Special Education, I'd like to take this moment to thank Dr. Maleko for believing in me. Your tremendous leadership over the past years has been awesome. Thank you so much. I would like to also extend my thanks to the Executive Cabinet. I have learned so much from each and every one of you, and I'm excited to be working with all of you. In addition, a special thanks to Dr. Masalam for being such a great mentor and leader over the last year. Thank you. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank my amazing team who work tirelessly for the students and families we serve in Dearborn. Dr. Rola Bazzi-Gates, Ms. Courtney Pletsky, Ms. Nicole West, and Ms. Tammy Fournier. I'm excited for what the future holds for our team and the students of Dearborn. Last but certainly not least, I'd like to thank my wife who's here. She's been the rock in all of this. It's because of her tremendous support that I'm blessed with this opportunity. Again, thank you all so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Just say congratulations to Mike, and we appreciate the great work he's done as the interim director. He's definitely earned the new position. So.
Wonderful. Next item, please.
All right, discussion item, naming of the Fordson Gymnasium floor.
So we have
Dr. Glenn
Miss-
Maleko,
No, he,
Ms. Hale Alcodrad. Oh, that's Fordson. Good evening.
Hi, thanks for your time tonight. We're here tonight to ask your permission and approval to name our gym floor at Fordson after one of our coaches, Guy DelGiudice. First of all, we formed a committee, and actually we have a few people from the committee here tonight, but not everybody could make it. Let me just kind of mention the people from the committee. First of all, we have Osama Abulhassan, who's our head basketball coach at Fordson. And he's actually a football coach, graduation interventionist, does a lot of multiple roles at Fordson. Mike Osmond and Mike Ollie, they're always together, the Mikes. They multiple roles at Fordson. They coach a lot of different things for us. And of course, Hiam Al-Qadri, the principal of Fordson, and Jill Chokol, we all know her.
and you need to introduce yourself as well.
And Chuck Silver. Other people that were involved in the committee, Howard Pinkston, who's the president of the Fordson Varsity Alumni Club, Louis Musa, who's on the board of directors for the Fordson Varsity Alumni Club, Malik Hamoud, who's a parent and a former player of Guy DelGiudice at Fordson, and Kevin Bruce, who's another coach on our staff. We had two students also, Hashim El-Jami and Hood Mashra, were in the middle of AP testing, so they couldn't come. It's kind of a rough week for them. So we're going to start with the presentation. I'm not going to read everything to you, and then we'll go over a couple of things, and I'm sure you have a couple of questions. So. Guy was a player back in the 1960s, very accomplished, very good athlete. He played for John McIntyre when he first started coaching. John McIntyre is who the gym is actually named after at Fordson High School. Very accomplished player at Fordson in his 3 years on the varsity team at Fordson. The next slide is actually, he's coached everything. He's currently coaching right now. He's coaching both our boys golf team and our girls golf team, and he's one of Osama's assistant coaches on the basketball staff for the boys basketball. Actually, all three of these guys are on the basketball staff. But Osama's our head basketball coach. Guy is one of the assistants for the varsity staff. He's coached a little bit of everything. Guy is one of those people, he's a pure coach. Lots of enthusiasm, a lot of passion for coaching. He's such a good person. I've known him for over 20 years. He's always willing to help. This past year, I for the district, I ran some coaching clinics for some of the middle school basketball coaches, and he's actually all these guys helped out with it. But Guy was one of those people, like he's in the front of the line to help out. He's always willing to do anything. The next thing I know, and you can ask these guys, he's over at Salina helping out one of the girls' basketball teams. And then I find out he's helping out the Lori girls' basketball teams. He has a passion for coaching. He'll do anything for anybody. And it doesn't mean that it's just for superstars. He just loves to coach. He loves people. And you can see he's coached a little bit of everything. He's coached tennis, he's coached a little soccer, he's coaching golf for us right now. He's a great basketball coach. You want to chime in?
If I could,
Okay.
just a little bit of introduction to myself. I was named the varsity basketball coach at 25 years old, which is fairly young. And one of the things, my first order was to make sure I had a veteran assistant. Jeff DelGiudice, who's our athletic director who coached me in high school, obviously it made perfect sense to bring in his father, and he's been assisting me since the beginning, and we've been somewhat successful. We won 4 district championships in 7 years. He's really showed me the ropes. He's really taught me a lot about the game, everything kind of I know. So to call him just an assistant almost doesn't do it justice. He's really been a co-head coach pretty much for the last 7 years, and you know, really without him, I don't think our program would be where it is today. And absolutely the caring and the passion for the kids and the relationships he develops with the kids on and off the floor, you know, really his impact has been immeasurable. So that's just kind of from the basketball aspect of it, you know, just, you know, he's been assisting on the varsity for 7 years, but again, you know, just to call him an assistant is a little kind of light, but that's just, you know, what he's done for the last 7 years and kind of helping rebuild the program from when we took it over. And so, you know, I'm forever thankful for that, and that's kind of his role been in the basketball program.
And, you know, Fordson's always about tradition. It's about history, and he's kind of that bridging back to the John McIntyre era from the 60s. And you know, Osama's, you know, he's the future. You know, there's such a tie-in back, you know, all the way through the 60s and 70s and that tradition. And they're coaching the way that it was done through those 60s and 70s, and it's really special to see those things. And the kids buy into it. They play great defense, and they aren't always the most talented team on the court, but I guarantee you that they always play with a lot of heart. And Guy is one of those people that just kind of brings that out in kids. And he's just a great person. So we'll just kind of, you know, this is kind of a summary of all the things that he's done. He was our head girls basketball coach for a number of years. Back when they had the switch of sports seasons, he had to kind of make choices between girls and boys. So that, you know, he ended up coaching boys when they switched the seasons around. And then a little summary. Actually, there's a little typo in there. I think he turned 71 today. Just a little summary of...
How fitting to do this on his birthday.
Yes, that's true.
How can we say no now?
Yeah. And then just to kind of show you what would be this is kind of happening quite often now, the naming of courts. You know, we have John McIntyre Gymnasium. More and more often, you know, schools are naming the actual floor itself. And then we'll kind of show you what we would do, what would that entail. There would actually be a sign up on the wall. We want to update the John McIntyre sign, so we'd actually put up a new sign for John McIntyre, and then of course for Guy DelGiudice. And then there would actually be we kind of tricked him in to get his signature. There would be a location, and we'll show you on the slide in just a minute, there would actually be a signature on 2 locations on the floor, and it's actually a big sticker, okay? And that's what the sign would look like on the wall, okay? That's what the sticker would look like on the court, okay? And where the 2 arrows would be, so it would kind of face both stands on each end as far as the court. This is the vantage point for where our scorers table would be. Basically, just so you know, the cost entailed for the 2 stickers and the signs would be about $1,100. The Fordson Varsity Alumni Club would pick up those costs.
My husband didn't tell me that part.
Sorry. They said that they would take care of that for us. And then, in case you guys get questioned on the cost as far as like how are we going to put the sticker on, during when talking to the building engineer, basically they said normal summer maintenance when they strip the floors down. It would be part of the normal maintenance when they strip the floors and they put the new wax over the top. They'd strip it down, put the sticker down, and then put the wax over the top. So there wouldn't be any additional costs for the floor. There wouldn't be any costs from our normal athletic budget to do any of this either. So I've known Guy for over 20 years. He's a great person. He loves to coach, and he loves Fordson High School. And he's somebody that deserves this. He was the catalyst behind this, and she got Jill involved with this. And we've been talking about this for a long time. Back when I was an assistant principal at Fordson a few years ago, we had talked about this and we didn't ever move forward with it, and I'm glad that Kian got the ball rolling. So do you guys have any questions, or does anyone want to add anything? Or
Does he know about this?
No.
Oh, he doesn't?
He might now. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions at all?
Oh, what do we have to do?
It would be an action item for the next board meeting.
Yeah,
So this is
This is
information.
discussion,
and-
yeah.
right,
Okay.
right. We're required to
Okay,
vote on it.
good.
Okay.
Thanks
Thank you
for
so
the
much for
You
your
better
time.
get the money
Thank you.
from those guys while you can.
And thanks for the presentation.
Okay, thank you so
Very
much.
enthusiastic.
Can I just make a comment too?
Yeah, sure.
Apologize, we're installing the new system, and so
Is
they're
that
working
what's
out
going
kinks
on?
because they're right in the middle of working through it, so that's why we've had a bit of an echo at times, so apologize for that, but I know they're working through the new
I thought it was
installation.
new special effects,
Star
You haven't
Wars.
noticed?
reverberation.
Next item, please.
The 2018-2019 budget update number 2.
Mr.
33
Wall.
items.
33.
So Dr. Blanco said I had at least a half hour to make sure I get the meeting till about 9:15.
No, his evaluation meeting's coming up,
Expectations
so.
are everything.
We're still early in the process, unfortunately, so I just have a very short presentation to kind of get you updated where we're at. And some of the key points, really the last slide of what's still to come between now and the actual adoption of the budget. So of course, any good presentation starts off with our mission statement, so people don't forget why we're here. So what we're going to concentrate on, this is just an overview of all the funds that we deal with. So right now, we're looking at just the general fund, and the general fund itself makes up $212 million of our budget, so it's the largest fund that we have, and that's what we're going to focus on today. So looking at student counts, as you can see, our student counts, we're projecting roughly about 145 additional students next year. That's our preliminary projections. Again, this is very early in the process, and those numbers will obviously change as we come for the start of next school year. So a slight drop from last year of roughly 244 students. Looking at our foundation increases, we're looking at roughly about 115 student or per pupil allocation increase for next year. That's where they kind of be settling at, and there you can see from the 3 different numbers we've gotten from the House and Senate, not much has changed in that range, so that seems like a pretty good number to go forward with, and that's what we'll use for our budget estimation for next year. Oh, just one other note that we actually have broken the 21,000 threshold for students.
Wow.
So we're solidly in 3rd place for the largest district in Michigan for 3rd place. And projections are that for it to continue to grow for slightly above that. So this is just a quick snapshot. I won't go through all the details on here, but it was updated with the recent board action from today of the actual settlement of the teacher contract. The teacher contract does make up 86% of our staffing costs, so it's a large component of that. And we still have to work to do with the other union groups, but that number has been updated and some estimations for the other union groups. And you can see on the very bottom line, the last colored one, that we're just still above profit, where we'll actually add a little bit amount of money to our fund balance. Now, again, these are just estimations as we go forward. So the last screen is where I want to spend some time. The next big date for us is May 16th. That's the revenue consensus meeting at the state level, where the Senate, House, and the governor get together to make the final determination of what revenues we have for the state. And that's where we'll actually start the process between there and whatever date they actually settle on what the new school aid fund will be and what our actual numbers are. So nothing really happens till that date. Obviously, we still have the union contracts, and I think I lost the mic there, but
Yeah.
oh, it's back. So the union contracts, we still have several groups left to get through. The staffing process, we're just starting the staffing process now. We've gone through with our current staffing for enrollment numbers. The buildings now work with their own staff models to see which teachers are going to be there, which ones have to move around, and what hirings we'll have to do. And we're still early. We don't have that many retirements in yet, but it's actually a bell curve that we'll get more as we get closer to the end of the school year. The last couple of things on the school aid legislation, there's been some changes potentially in at-risk funding. That's a little over a $3 million grant that we have for the first time this year, and they're talking making that money restricted more than what we spent it on this year. So we have to watch that legislation because that might have an impact that general fund might have to pick up some of those costs and we have to spend them on different areas. The retirement changes, that's a law that went into effect this next year, where how they calculate what we have to pay for retirement might change. They're changing the model of looking at just staffing and salaries to more of a cost of operation expenditures. And they haven't shared with us the actual formula, but that could impact how we pay retirement costs either up and down as we go forward. They said they will actually have something in place at the start of next school year, and our first payment would be in January of 19, which will affect next fiscal year. But they're still working on that legislation. And the last one is property tax. We have a new deputy treasurer for Wayne County, and we have not actually gotten any information yet on how our taxes are going to go up or down for next school year for our tax base. So that's obviously going to have a big impact, and they're estimating around June 1st to get that information. Our next meeting for June 11th, we'll have our public hearing on our budget. You'll have more detail, and the board will have a chance to comment along with the public.
Okay.
Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you.
It wasn't a
Mr.
half
Wall.
hour, I understand, but.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Next item, please.
Board of Education business, acknowledgement of correspondence. I guess we all got a pile of mail here, but we haven't opened it.
I haven't.
So I acknowledge we got mail.
Okay.
I opened some of them. So we've got an invitation to the honors night, the superintendent's honors night. That's this Thursday at the Ford Community Performing Arts Center. The ceremony will start at 5. That's for all the graduates this year who have attained a GPA of 3.6 or higher.
Okay.
And Fordson, we're invited to the Fordson High School War Veterans Memorial on May 23rd at 8:30 in the auditorium. We have
Yes.
to,
Next week, there will be
Every-
events
every
at every
school.
single high school. So it's a busy week next week.
yeah.
Can I just mention too, I've received a lot of sympathy cards for both my grandmother and for Mr. Whiston from people all over.
Good.
Yeah.
Next item.
Board member committee and organization reports.
Trustee. Yes.
Oh.
You can go first with that.
The policy meeting, we just voted on the 2 policies. They were the school safety information policy and the school calendar. The purchasing, that was the purchasing and the, that one we didn't discuss that one yet. So we voted on the school safety information and the school calendar.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Thorpe?
The board completed the superintendent evaluation process a couple of weeks ago. Dr. Maleko got a rating of highly effective, so we are not going to be taking away his cell phone anytime soon. So congratulations on
All
that.
right, thank you.
Hey, way to go.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Thank you,
That's
trustees.
good news.
Appreciate your
Any
support.
other committee meetings, reports? Okay. Next item?
Board member superintendent commentary.
Yes, Trustee Petlicoff?
I have a couple of commentaries. One is, and I know the teachers have left for the evening, but I'm still going to make the statement. I would like to personally thank the DFT and their membership for conducting a truly respectful negotiating session for, and the team and our team who worked with them. I've been here since 2008 and have seen sometimes that were not quite so, that were a little more challenging for a variety of reasons. And it's truly nice to see everyone follow the core examples, quite frankly, and be respectful and considerate and communicative with each other in order to get these kinds of results. And so I'm very proud to be working with this organization and representing the community in this fashion. The second commentary I'd like to make, I'm the only one sitting at the board table anymore who actually hired Brian Whiston in 2008. And I remember vividly his interview. He was a passionate, dynamic, excited. I thought he was going to jump out of his chair. He truly had a vision for our community that was so exciting, even though I thought he was off his rocker. We were broke. We were challenged. We were coming through a time of low morale. And yet he wanted this job more than anything. And he saw something here that he would have never have attempted to do. He was not your traditional choice for a superintendent. He had none of the experience that one would have been looking for originally as a superintendent. But he convinced us all that he saw the opportunities for this district and that he could make it happen. And by golly, he did. And his legacy will live on with the things that he saw that he could do here, and he took advantage of, and he really embraced the city of Dearborn as his own. And quite frankly, when he left, and I was angry with him, but knew that it was he saw another opportunity to change some visions up in Lansing. Not as I wish I could have, but I kept in touch with him over the last couple of years, and he was still convinced that Dearborn was his home. After all this time, he missed us, and he never. We were not far from his thoughts. So I just want to say that I'll miss him. He changed the way this district worked with itself. We went from a very divided community, and he pulled us back, and he made us believe in ourselves again. And it shows in how we operate today. And so I have to have him to thank for that.
Very well said. Thank you. Next item.
Request for information and our future agenda items. Oh.
Sorry, I just had just a couple things I didn't get a chance to mention. Just one thing, Trustee Thorpe and I, we had an opportunity to go on that Fordson tour. I know there's another one coming up that board members would like to go. I just want to remind you. I also want to just mention the green tie is coming up in a week from Tuesday. That's for the Education Foundation, and all that money goes back to support our students in the classroom. So I just wanted to plug for that. And I just want to mention too, you know, we're looking at enhancements of the food service model, and some of us went to Grand Blanc to see their model. We're going to be going to another school district to look at that to see how we can continue to enhance our food service and our offerings for our I know Trustee Nasser, you were there for that visit, and we have many others in the committee, including Mr. Wall. So just want to let everyone know more to come with that. And some of that tie did come from the National School Board Conference. So, thank you. Sorry to interrupt us.
No, that's fine.
Next item, please.
Request for information and our future agenda items.
Yes. Trustee Petlicoff.
I think I asked this already, but I'm going to ask it again to refresh my memory as well. I would like to have a building and site committee meeting, especially as we're moving into, so we're going to go
before
ahead.
The next meeting.
Yeah, because we've got a lot of construction going on for the summer, and I also would like to kind of touch base before this committee convenes so that we kind of know what direction we're going in.
Any other items under this? Okay. Next item, please.
Future meeting dates. Monday, May 21st, 2018, HFC Board of Trustee meeting, 7 PM at the Henry Ford College Administrative Service and Conference Center in the Rosenau Boardroom. Monday, June 11th, 2018, P12 Board of Education meeting, 7 PM at the Administrative Service Center in the Frank Franchi Boardroom. Monday, June 18th, 2018, HFC Board of Trustee meeting, 7 PM at the Henry Ford College Administrative Services and Conference Center in the Rosenau Boardroom. Monday, June 25th, 2018, P12 Board of Education meeting, 7 PM at the Administrative Service Center in the Frank Franchi Boardroom.
So there are 2 P12 meetings in June.
Yeah,
Okay.
there, that's,
All right, is everybody, yes, no, everybody ready? We are adjourned.